Teachers of Reddit, what is your "this student is so smart it's scary" story? I had a student ask for an extension on their paper because they were representing our nation in the World Science Festival. They came in third, and the paper was an A+. Had a first grader figure out exponents on his own. Edit, also to note, the kid knew numbers but we had to read the directions to him because he couldn't read well enough yet. Ramanujan walked into his first class ever, at the age of 13, having figured out trick on his own. Paraphrasing a quote from Good Will Hunting. In truth, when he was 13 he read a book on advanced trick and not only understood it but improved upon it. By coming up, discovering, with his own theorems. Kid took the fat highlighters, cut them open and removed the insides and replaced it with weed. Sold them at school. He was caught, but only because the kids snitched after they were caught getting high. Absolutely brilliant. I once had a pre-kindergartner who could read, and cried because he was so upset with how dumb the rest of the kids were. I'm a piano teacher on the side. Teaching a 4-year-old how to read sheet music before she can read books. I ask her to find the C's and she will point them out on the paject. She can also do math really well and understands the concept of multiplication. Also another student that just started and plays by ear and composes her own pieces at 8. She also speaks 5 languages, which I didn't find out until I told her I was learning German. After teaching her for 3 months she's already to the point where I had to send her to a better teacher. One of my kindergarteners just knows multiplication, and not just the basic 5s or 10s. In the beginning when his parents told me I played along with 2 by 2 or 10 by 10, but you can tell him 17 by 14 and he knows it instantly. So cool to watch. A student at my school had OCD, so just memorized the textbook and wrote out the correct chapter for each question. Also their handwriting was so neat that it looked like it had been typed out with a typewriter. I had a kid who could take one look at a national flag and then point to the corresponding country on an unlabeled world map. Instantly. Not a teacher, but a kid in my grade ended up taking courses 2 years ahead of the rest of us advanced kids. The funny part was that he skipped his own mother's class and wrote novels during middle school math. He's published 3 books and currently has over 95% in every class. My mother told me a story once of a kid she went to high school with. This kid was the local stoner but incredibly smart. He was talking college course way before everyone else, saying they ran out of math for me dog. This kid was working as a janitor at my university. He kept doing the math equations that the professor left on the chalkboard. He was wicked smart. My mom was a student teacher in the early 1970s. She recounts the story of a gifted first grader that nobody really knew how to handle. Every day her mentor would give the child a copy of the New York Times and let him read during her class. Much later my mom was working as a speech therapist and had a severely autistic child that would come in daily. After their lessons he would spend his free time drawing elaborate, and accurate, city maps on the whiteboard. It was fascinating. I have a student who is an immigrant that speaks fluent English. I assumed that she grew up in the USA. She told me she had been here for a year and knew zero English before coming. I was amazed. I have another student who just does calculations instantly in his head. He doesn't have to think. When he learns more math it just becomes automatic. He explained that numbers just make sense. My mom had a second grader who skipped the knowledge dump stage and listened better than a grown-ass man. For example, when other boys would tell you all their dinosaur facts, he would ask her, "I am curious, Miss Ladder Dude, what do you think caused the extinction of the dinosaurs?" His emotional intelligence was through the roof. My friend took the act when we were in 7th grade and got a 31. I don't know how, because they don't teach you half of that material until high school. Hell of a guy though. Would intentionally get questions wrong on really difficult tests so he wouldn't kill the curve for the rest of us. HS Jr. could do stoichiometry in his head, but oddly struggled writing the steps on paper. My 2-year-old son is obsessed with letters. He is already a prolific speller. He seems to memorize words he sees and spells from memory. One morning he comes into my bedroom while I'm half asleep. I roll over and see that he has brought in his puzzle letters. After waking up properly, I see that he's spelled out symphony. He's gonna be annihilating his friends at spelling bees later on. Not a teacher, but my friend wrote an entire book, 300 pages, in 3rd grade. It was this Lord of the Rings type epic, but all the characters were bees. I still have a copy and reread it last month. It still holds up. Not a teacher, but there was this girl I knew who drew in different fonts. Times New Roman, Comic Sans, all of the most common ones. She was perfect at just about everything. She once supposedly cried over getting a 97 on a science test. If only I could be that great at everything. Well, I'm a school psychologist and a kindergartner I tested got a 141 IQ. It's easier to score higher the younger you are when you're given an IQ assessment, but that was the highest anyone in our department ever got. I was a 6th grade teacher and had a 3rd grade student move into my class. I simply could not challenge him. He could do 8th grade work with ease. I was astounded by how bright he was.